So a whole lot of Americans are going through a hard time right now. Something you could call a recession, even though the media or the government won't call it that or won't even attest to it. But the truth is that a whole lot of Americans are going through tough time. Meaning that a lot of people can't even afford to get groceries, afford to get the basest of things, all right, the simplest of things, things that are necessary: food, groceries, rent. In fact, rent is at a higher rate, and right now a lot of people are going through a hard time, and this is something that we're going to be looking at in this video, and how people are managing to survive, the strategies, the tricks that they are using to just get by. All right, but this is something that should be talked about.
Bro, how are people making it? If you making $30 an hour, it's weird to ask that, but how are you making it? After you pay your rent, $1,500 a month, that's on the low side. Car note, $500 a month. Phone bill, $100 a month. Insurance, gas, food, electricity, health insurance, all these day-to-day expenses. How are people making it? You do the math and you come back and tell me what the numbers look like for you. Because a person can make $30 an hour and is going to struggle. I can only imagine making $15 an hour. You cannot live on that. No, you cannot. You cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot live on 15 or $30 an hour, or you're gonna stay broke. Convince me different.
So what y'all's plan? Is it ride it out and see what happens? Go homeless or move the country? Like what? Like genuinely, dude, what are y'all doing? Because I don't know.
Breaking news, as of now, 22 states are in an official recession. This means that for a vast portion of Americans, we are facing economic hardship. So don't let economists and Fox News reporters tell you we're fine, we're not in a recession, because we are, and we have the data to prove it. Recession is often characterized by lack of job opportunities as well as persistent economic hardship lasting more than a few months. Current estimates suggest that 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Many people are struggling to put food on the table each day. States currently in or on the brink of recession include Oregon, Georgia, and Illinois, where I currently live. There has been a significant decline in economic activity in these states that has lasted for more than a few months. The craziest thing is that the District of Columbia, or DC, the capital of the country, is one of the territories that's hit the hardest right now. But why? Largely because of Trump's economic plan and the tariffs. So many politicians are lying to us right now by saying that our economy is the greatest in the world, especially those on the right. And I want you to know right now that no, you're not crazy. Yes, the economy is worse. Yes, it is harder to get a job. And yes, it is because of the person who is in office right now, as well as various other factors. Crazy, and we're only 1 year into his presidency.
Are Americans, like, genuinely okay? Because tell me why. I just had a conversation with a guy who works as a literal space engineer. And he tells me that he's been working full-time for them for the past 30 years. And that his current salary of $200,000 is considered middle class. $200,000. Then I said to him, no fucking way is 200,000 considered middle class. And like, I don't really know all of how like the American tax system works because I haven't lived there in like 4 years. The fact that there's not generally like health insurance benefits for people who are making less than him, like I can't help but wonder what they're even using it for. The American dream is literally dead. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Over 40 million Americans use SNAP benefits. Over 40 million Americans cannot afford food, and they have to use government assistance. The government has to subsidize the food that people eat. That's over 12% of the population of the United States. Think about that. And then ask yourself, the real question is, why is it that over 40 million Americans can't afford food? That's the real question. Is it because food costs too much? Are there not enough jobs? Do we not have enough jobs for 40 million people to make a good enough living where they can afford their own food? Is there a job shortage? What is going on in America? Serious answers below, please. We need to figure this out. Peace and love. I'm out.
Living in America right now feels like a punishment. You wake up already behind, you go to work just to stay broke, and you watch the cost of everything rise while your paycheck doesn't move an inch. Groceries are a luxury. Rent is robbery. Healthcare is a joke. And somehow we're the ones blamed for not budgeting better. People are working 2-3 jobs and still choosing between food or gas. Families are crammed into apartments because buying a house became a fantasy. You can't afford to get sick. You can't afford to rest. You can't afford to exist. But they keep telling us the economy is strong. Strong for who? Because it sure as hell isn't the people doing the work. We're out here treading water while billionaires build rockets, politicians trade stocks, and corporations raise prices just because they can. We were promised opportunity. We got survival. And what makes this worse is watching people blame themselves. Like somehow you failed because you can't afford a 1-bedroom anymore. Like you didn't do enough when the truth is the math just stopped adding up years ago. They told us to work harder, but never told us they'd change the finish line. This isn't a country full of lazy people. It's a country full of exhausted ones. Simple as that.
People are broke, and now there's proof showing up in the numbers. Kellogg's reported an 8.6% drop in cereal sales. Crocs pulled its entire financial forecast. Heineken says people are drinking less. And even global giants like Nestle are seeing sales fall across the board. And what's scary about this, it's not about cutting luxuries. People are walking away from everyday items. Candy, snacks, fast food, takeout. Last Saturday, I went for lunch at a popular restaurant. Usually packed at noon, we expected a wait. Instead, we were just a handful of people there. Because consumers are cutting back hardest on items that bring joy. Chips, chocolate, going out to dinner. Not because they want to, because simply they don't have the fucking money. And companies know it. Forecasts are being pulled. Behind the scenes, they see the truth. Demand just isn't slowing. It's fucking collapsing. After 5 brutal years, Americans are barely hanging on, and now the administration slaps tariffs on top of it. It's like throwing gasoline on an already burning house. These families are one missed paycheck away from financial collapse. Americans aren't tightening belts anymore. They've run out of fucking notches.
I'm an American. I live in the United States, which is supposed to be the greatest country on earth. I live in the back half of a garage. It's $1,600 a month and only 200 square feet. That's more than half my income. I'm an American. The United States has the world's largest economy. That being said, it still has thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of its citizens living on the streets, hungry and poor and without medical care. The last time I went to the emergency room, it cost me $12,000. I'm an American. A college education isn't free here, and mine cost $120,000. It took me 10 years to pay that off. I'm an American. You're not going to get a good paying career anymore. A college education no longer amounts for anything. You're going to get a minimum wage job to start off, no matter what degree you have, and you're going to be paying off your interest and your loans for the rest of your life. Our corporate CEOs are millionaires and billionaires, and yet they refuse to pay their employees a livable wage because they know we'll work it anyway. I'm an American. Despite being the land of opportunities, we're the #1 country for mass shootings. I'm an American. I couldn't afford a child, and who would want to have one here anyway? School shootings happen all the time, and nobody seems to care. I will never be able to afford my own house. I'm an American. I've never been out of this country. I've never been on vacation. Our tax dollars secretly fund wars that we don't agree to. If you leave this country, you still have to pay taxes to the USA. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just the average American.
Hey, what's up, America? People struggling even though they're working harder than they ever have in their lives. So I think a lot of people here in America are starting to figure out that even making $100,000 a year isn't gonna cut it, and everybody's still struggling. There's only so many fucking hours you can work before you run out of actual living time. You can only work so much before it starts interfering with just basic feeding yourself, pissing in a toilet, and sleeping. And that's what's happening with America. The burden on the American people for basic survival is now just simply too much for the average person. The money's not worth enough, people aren't making enough, and the cost of shit is just too high. Doesn't matter what it is, the cost is just too high. I mean, there's absolutely nothing that's cheap right now. People don't make enough money, and the value's not worth it. So you wonder why the younger generation doesn't want to work really super hard. It's because even if they do, they see that there's no way whatsoever to do everything that the generations before them could do, like buy a house, own a car, go on vacation. The younger generation already realizes with inflation and stagnant wages, if they work 96 hours a week, they won't be able to afford shit still. They'll have to get a minimum of 2 and or 3 jobs and do that until they retire, and then after they retire, they'll just simply fucking die. And they'll get robbed on the way out for healthcare costs as well, and funeral costs, and taxes, and every other goddamn thing. So people aren't lazy in America. People aren't stupid in America. They're just giving up. They're just simply giving up. It's too fucking difficult. You tell everybody you need at least 100 grand a year. You finally make it, then you need 170. By the time you get there, now you need 250,000 a year. It's a never-ending goalpost move. So what's the fucking point of trying? Just to keep alive and not starving to death? Well, that fucking sucks. That's not a life. No, that's just basic survival, getting back shots financially from major corporations. So you need to lower the burden on the American people. It's not fun out here and it sucks. And it was never meant to be fun, but you can at least give people some type of upward mobility and gain. This is dog shit.
Hey, we live in central Illinois. Our electric rates just went up 50%. My nephew has a ranch home that's probably 1,200 square feet, and his bill went from $260 to $560 in the last month. No difference in usage. The company just increased their rates 50%. So I'm curious if you have a similar home in a surrounding state, what you pay.
I think at this point in the economy, we as Americans cannot stand to tolerate or even normalize the conditions of how we're expected to live nowadays. They're taking away our jobs, they're taking away our healthcare, they're taking away everything, making it nearly impossible to the point where I have to pick and choose what groceries are important. I have to pick and choose how much I can fill up my tank. I'm getting pushed more and out of the city because I can't afford rent. It's really not fair, and I think we need to stand up and stop this nonsense.
If you've ever been curious as to why America seems to struggle with addressing the poverty issue in its nation, I think you need to understand that America doesn't want to address the poverty situation. It can't. Capitalist societies like America rely on an impoverished underclass in order to scare everyone else into staying in line. Right? This fear of poverty forces people to sell their soul to the military. This fear of homelessness forces people to take jobs they otherwise wouldn't. And if America got rid of poverty, all of these coercive elements would be gone, and the military would lose people in droves. Corporation would lose people in droves. The American society would come to a standstill because people would no longer be forced to take jobs they don't want. Right? America can't get rid of poverty because America needs poverty. Poverty is a cornerstone to the American identity. And if we get rid of poverty, we have to get rid of America. And unfortunately, we're not quite ready to do that yet.
The cost of living in America is just a scam. And I think more and more of us are seeing that, especially on an app like this where we can see what people are paying for life outside of these borders. I think the craziest thing about these videos I make talking about grocery prices and cost of living in general in the United States is the comments I get from people who live outside of this country. People from Germany, Denmark, Sweden, you name it. Especially countries that you would typically associate with higher costs. They're letting me know that they're paying way less for so many things. The other day when I made that video about grocery prices and I had 2 bags, it was 11 items, it was like $40. I was getting comments from all over the world. And let me tell you, I didn't get a single comment from anywhere saying that they would pay more. Sometimes in European countries, these prices would be less than a quarter of what we're paying here. So my question is, what's going to happen? We are obviously going through a cost of living disaster here in the United States. Not the only place that's expensive. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we are paying an amount of money that is not sustainable. There is more homelessness than ever. There is less financial stability than ever. There's more bankruptcies than ever. Where does this go? How does this end? Because it's not going anywhere good. In that video I mentioned, I found out they aired it on CNN, which is kind of hilarious. I had no idea until someone commented and let me know, hey, you're on my television right now. So I guess what I have to say is resonating with enough people. I also just hit 40,000 followers, so thank you. If you follow me, thank you so much. I'm glad what I say is striking a chord with you, and hopefully we can all find a way to make it through this crazy cost of living recession, whatever you want to call it. We can make it through it together. How do you think this is going to end? Because I don't know a way out of this personally, other than moving to another country.
Breaking news, as of now, 22 states are in an official recession. This means that for a vast portion of Americans, we are facing economic hardship. So don't let economists and Fox News reporters tell you we're fine, we're not in a recession, because we are and we have the data to prove it. Recession is often characterized by lack of job opportunities as well as persistent economic hardship lasting more than a few months. Current estimates suggest that 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Many people are struggling to put food on the table each day. States currently in or on the brink of recession include Oregon, Georgia, and Illinois, where I currently live. There has been a significant decline in economic activity in these states that has lasted for more than a few months. The craziest thing is that the District of Columbia, or DC, the capital of the country, is one of the territories that's hit the hardest right now. But why? Largely because of Trump's economic plan and the tariffs. So many politicians are lying to us right now by saying that our economy is the greatest in the world, especially those on the right. And I want you to know right now that no, you're not crazy. Yes, the economy is worse. Yes, it is harder to get a job. And yes, it is because of the person who is in office right now, as well as various other factors. Crazy, and we're only 1 year into his presidency.
Like I said prior, a lot of Americans are struggling. However, um, a lot of gurus will tell you to budget, and budgeting is very, very important. All right, I'm speaking to you like I'm speaking to a friend. Budgeting is very, very important. But the thing is, with the increase in the recession and the increase of prices and rent, is almost impossible for the regular guy, the regular Joe, to keep up. All right, it's not as if the salaries are increasing alongside this recession, alongside the increase in price, and it's almost as if the quantity of food, the quantity of quality products are reducing, or the quality of products are reducing, even as the prices are skyrocketing. But what I would like to say is that there is always something that you can do, right? There's always something that we can do. It might require you to learn a higher paying skill. All right, I know for some of you watching this video, it might be that you have a job that you're working in, that you're using to get by your daily stuff, your requirements, your daily provisions, things you need to survive. That's just what I'm trying to say. But however, right, it will be great, or it will be helpful, right, if you can find a way to learn something. Yeah, it doesn't matter your age. You may be 30 watching this video, maybe 40, maybe you may be 50s. It doesn't matter. All right, what I'm saying is that you can learn a high paying skill, right, that can alongside your job, right, you can learn a high pay, because the only you can't just survive on your normal salary in this economy. It's almost, right, it's bizarre, especially for the regular guy that probably doesn't have the best of the degrees. Right, even with the degrees, there are still lots of I think I'll do a video on that, the massive layoffs that's going on in America right now. But apart from that, all right, there are skills that you can learn, and one of the skills I would recommend is sales. All right, you can learn sales. One of the highest paid people in the whole world are salespeople. Now, I know some of you may be like, I don't really like the idea of sales. I don't want people to see me as sales. But the truth is, with the way the economy is going, people's opinion of you won't really matter much. All right, this is just something I believe. So you can learn sales, and it doesn't have to be salesy. Some of you just need to, probably you have the product already. You can just start creating content around it, right? And try to tailor your content to people who will already need your services or your product. That way you wouldn't have to look salesy, all right, irrespective of the fact that um the economy is bad, all right, and everybody can attest to that, all right, everybody can attest to that. However, you shouldn't lose yourself in it, and I want you to know that there is hope. All right, there is hope if you will not give up. I'm speaking to that family that is currently struggling, can't pay their rent, that family that you're about to be removed from the house, or probably you're living in refuge camps, in shelter homes. I i i i just want to tell you that there is hope, and that you shouldn't give up, and that you should keep pushing. All right, so I won't come here and tell you that it's going to be all rosy, and no. All right, we all know how it is right now, but what I'm telling you is that there is hope if you won't give